Russell Reynolds Associates, which is a company providing services in executive search and in leadership advisory. I'm here today to talk about how to recruit women. Obviously, diversity and inclusion is much broader than that. Women is just one aspect of diversity. Recruitment is just one aspect of making sure they are there. But we only have a couple of slides to cover and 30 minutes to cover, so I will focus specifically on some best practices to recruit those women. And why are we still having this conversation? And I show you this slide because I find the statistics amazing. There are more CEOs of large US companies who are named David than there are female CEOs. And actually, David isn't even the most common name among CEOs. At the same time, only 1 in 9 men believe women have fewer opportunities than men. So 8 out of 9 men say you have the same opportunities, or even 13% of men say you have better opportunities. It's harder for me to advance. So there is a huge disconnect between reality and perception. And companies are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to try to solve this. Yet it is so hard to get this right. So many diversity initiatives are taken, so many diversity initiatives fail. There's a statistic here of 5 companies in tech who each took their own initiative to get more diversity. They hired a chief diversity officer, the first company, the second one hired a diverse CEO, another one launched a diversity effort. Yet all of them saw almost no increase in percentage of women in leadership roles. So getting to this diversity and doing some actions, it's good, it has good intentions. It doesn't necessarily yield the required results. Why is that? It's because diversity is not enough. It's not about saying I want to have 30% women and get 30% women. It's also about inclusion. And if those women don't feel like they belong and like they are part of the decision-making process and like they want to work for the company, in any case, they will leave again and you will just keep recruiting women to check the boxes, but you will not be working on culture. And that's what really is required. It's a cultural change, and it's very hard to achieve this. Let's have a look at what we call the diversity and inclusion journey, and there's many different aspects to it. There's alignment. Is this part of your strategy in your company? What are your goals? Does top management support those goals? There's attract. How do you attract those diverse talent? How do you get those women to your job applications? How do you get them to interview? Then there's select. Once they are there, how do you make sure you also select them? Then you have to develop and retain them. And for the purpose of today's discussion, we'll be focusing on attract and select. So how do you do it? I'm sure there's much more to be done, but these are our top 3 tips for attracting and selecting women. For attracting women, it's about making diversity and inclusion part of your brand. It's about being visible to women and casting a wider net. And it's about neutral job specifications. For selecting them, it's about a training for unconscious bias, insisting on inclusive slates of talent, and ensuring a diverse hiring panel. And we'll go into detail for each of those top tips. The first one, make diversity and inclusion part of your brand. It's probably the most difficult one because it goes back to this culture that we discussed. And there is not one thing you can do. It's really many components to get right. It's about commitment, it's about alignment, accountability, measurement, and you have to create a new culture around diversity and inclusion. And only if you have that culture, you can then export it to your brand. As a little bit of background, as an executive search company, we are often asked to assess whether a candidate fits a certain culture. So we have developed what we call a cultural analyst to actually start to objectively describe and analyze a culture and to see whether a person fits in that. Given the fact that more and more of our clients are specifically worried about the inclusion aspect of their culture, we have developed what we call an inclusion index. And so what this does is it's a questionnaire that people have to fill in. And you can see where do I aspire to be and where do I think we are now as a company. You can also see where does a potential candidate fit in. And you can analyze where are the gaps. Which is the biggest area of concern for me in order to create inclusive culture? Is it around fair treatment? Is it around involving everyone in the decision-making process? There's many different levers that you can pull, and knowing where the gap is and knowing where to start and develop your action plan can help you to get along. In terms of candidate assessment, this is an interesting thought, because if you have two equal candidates in terms of competencies, do you choose the candidate that is already where you aspire to be in terms of culture, or do you want a candidate that is where you are now and grow it with the culture of the company? If you choose the one that is already there where you aspire him to be, then this person may leave actually if you don't grow fast enough. So it's not about right or wrong, but it's more about, okay, am I aware of the choices I'm making?
Can I ask?
Sure.
Who is feeding into the inclusion index?
So that's, I mean, it can be anyone in the company. So that's something we would discuss to say, okay, do you want to do this amongst management? Do you want to do this amongst your sales team?
Who is helping creating that index? So do you ask peers? Is it a 360 degrees feedback?
So it's a company-wide thing. So we would not do an inclusion index based on something that one person tells us. So we would send, it's an online survey, so we would send it to everyone in a certain team, everyone in a certain division, and then we would see, okay, where are you? Where do you aspire to be? And then the candidate thing, that's a personal assessment of where.
It's a self-assessment?
That's where do I put my values? In which type of company would I want to work?
So it's a self-assessment. It's not a feedback type of survey for your colleague or for your boss.
No, it's about where do I want to be, what are my values, and in which type of company do I want to work. Let's move to the second part, which is being visible to women and casting a wider net. And this goes back to what you were saying, Isabella, about a lot of this is long-term. And some companies do have a problem, and we're here at Cisco, and I'm sure you'll sympathize with this. It is very hard for tech companies to recruit women. Google is facing the same issue, and they have been partnering with Hollywood to try to introduce more female engineering characters in their show. So just to give you a sense of its long-term thinking, it's not about trying to fix something short-term. And it will take time to get there as well. Second bullet point there, there's a lot of surveys, top 50 executive places to work for women, best workplaces for women, etc. Try to get on those lists. If you want to recruit women look at this. And it's a good way to make it part of your brand as well. If you want to be inclusive and you want to be diverse, consider having yourself enter those lists and see what it takes to get there, to be elected. Casting a wider net, it starts from campus recruiting on, and I think many companies are quite good at campus recruiting and at developing specific recruitment programs for women, internship programs, fellowship programs. Looking outside of the traditional core schools and majors, I think we're less good at that. And it's quite interesting. I think Citibank did an analysis of which are the most successful recruits, and it turned out to be people with a history major. And they were actually the most loyal ones as well. And it made them realize to not only look at the typical commercial profiles, engineering profiles, but also go outside of that, because your education is just a little part of what you have to offer. Once you're done with the campus recruiting, it's really about attracting more women who are more advanced in their career. And here, companies are setting up events for their clients, for their alumni, women leadership conferences. Let's come together as women. It's not about immediate recruitment, but let's connect, let's form a network. And this is a way to make sure you are on the radar screen if there's an opportunity they're looking for, or if there's an opportunity on your side. return to work program. I attended Jump Session a couple of times, and this has been discussed already. Many companies are looking at this, how to attract women who have been absent for a couple of years and who want to return to work. And this actually, in combination with interview preparation, specifically for women, can be quite powerful too. And especially women who have been out of work for a while find it very helpful to get interview training, to be more comfortable to start their search. Incentives is the last one here on the list. It sounds very obvious, but for example, if you have a referral program, why wouldn't you have higher bonuses for recruiting women or recruiting diverse talent? People react to incentives, and it makes them top of mind. So it's something to consider. Mutual job specifications. This is not about putting he/she. My husband thought it was when I told him mutual job specifications is one of the things to do. There's a lot of words who are appealing more to men than they are to women. Consider this example. There's a sentence: we are determined to deliver superior medical treatment tailored to each individual patient. Same sentence, but in a female version: we are committed to providing top quality healthcare that is sympathetic to the needs of our patients. You're saying the same thing, yet the first sentence has 5 masculine words in it, and the second sentence has 5 feminine words in it. So if you want to attract females, the second sentence is the way to go. And there are several online tools and applications who can help you spot those words which are introducing biases. There's the gender decoder of Kat Matveld, there's Textio, and I think they both get to the results. Just for your information, here's a list of all words which are considered to be masculine and all words which are considered to be feminine.
We'll share the deck afterwards, so we'll get all of this.
So these were the top 3 tips for attracting women. Once you have them, how do you make sure you select them? First one is undergo a training for unconscious bias. And we all think we are rational, fair, objective people who can make good decisions. Yet we all have implicit unconscious biases. And if you are not aware of it, you're never going to be able to fix it. So the first step is to take this implicit association test and see your result. And it's quite confrontational because you think you will not have a bias, yet you do. Everybody has, and it's natural. Once you know you have it, how to fix it, it's much more difficult because it's unconscious. But you can start looking at the accuracy of your recruitment decision making. And you can think about, if I put together a list of criteria, am I not introducing bias? Am I not going to say I need to have an independent, committed, analytical, ambitious person? Without saying men, but you have said you want a man. So getting your unconscious bias awareness and then going to what criteria am I screening for is an important part in taking that unconscious bias out of the process. Second thing you can do, make time for empathy. And this sounds pretty ridiculous to be telling you this, but have a conversation not only about the specific job, but what are your goals, what are your hobbies, and it just takes a bit away from this, your very focused approach to this is who I need and these are the criteria, and it makes you connect to someone. And that's what you need to get away from your bias. Insist on inclusive slates of talent. A lot of companies are saying, well, we recruit 1 woman for every job, or we interview 1 people for every job posting. Well, according to a Harvard Business Review article that has recently been published, if there's 1 female candidate within a pool of 4, she has statistically 0% chance of being hired. Why is that? It's because it's highlighting how different she is from the norm. And people will see her as the minority candidate, and they will see her as somebody different, and they will see her as a risk. So if you want to get a fair chance of recruiting women, make sure you have 50% of women on your talent slate, and interview 2 women when you have 4 finalist candidates. The last one, a diverse hiring panel. People recruit people like themselves, and people go work for companies where they see themselves. So if you have a purely male panel, first of all, they will rate the females differently, and second of all, your females may not really feel like they will belong in this company. And this is something I sympathize with a lot, because I'm a civil engineer by background. I went into management consulting. I went into private equity. So I've basically been in male-dominated environments all my life. And I came to Russell Reynolds, started talking about a career there, and I did not see just female peers, but female country managers, female sector leaders, female regional leaders. And for me, this was a really important aspect in saying, this is a company where I can see myself have a future. And here's how Google does it. It's quite interesting. They have been going through some rigorous analysis of their own recruiting process. They decided to not only have bosses and peers interview people, but also team members, subordinates, or somebody who's working in a completely different department. They have a very well prepared and a structured interview guide, so that you do not get to those unconscious bias type of questions. They have a very comprehensive and objective scoring grid, same for everyone. And finally, it goes back a bit to this empathy point, but they invest some time to make sure that every candidate feels good about the interview, also if they are rejected. And this does a lot for your mouth-to-mouth. I didn't get the job, but hey, you should go there. It's fun. And that's what you need to get to as a company. So that would be our top 3 tips for attracting and selecting women. Finally, if you do decide to work with an executive search company, ask them questions. Ask them how committed they are to diversity and inclusion. Ask them whether they have undergone a training for unconscious bias. Ask them what percentage of their successful candidates is female, and ask them within their own company how many females there are, how many female leaders there are. And this will ensure you have a partner who shares your goals. So that's it. Happy to answer any questions, but I think we'll also have the opportunity to discuss later on. I'd love to hear from best tips from all of you. I'm sure there's a lot of other things that we can learn as well.
If there's anyone who wants to react straight away, feel free. Otherwise, in any case, we're going to have some time at the end of the session to ask questions, and then also go around the table and share different insights and questions and thoughts. So, I don't know, anyone have any questions for Sarah? No. Otherwise, I'm